ASMR Retro Forever. Welcome back, broskies. Excuse me, I had something caught on my throat. It's ASMR Retro here, and today I'm going to review, or not review, but I'm going to rank the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Yes, I call them films because I'm very classy like that. And these are just my opinion, and if you don't agree with them, well, there's something wrong with you, and you should change your opinion to to match my opinion. I'm just kidding, of course, you can disagree or agree. As a matter of fact, if you disagree, I'd like to hear your reasons why, or what you feel are the best and worst Freddy movies. Alright, so I got my legit Freddy glove here, made with real metal blade gloves. Aluminum is a type of metal, so that is accurate. But anyway, let's get started here. I'm just gonna grab the marker. Just give me. Hold on. Maybe if I do it like this. No, I might cut it. Yeah. I'm having some. You know what? I better take the glove off for the purposes of this video because I don't want to cut up my work area here. So give me a second. Okay, that's much better. I can actually pick up the marker now. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna rank them from my favorite to my least favorite. Okay, so here we go. Number 1, and I'm just gonna call them Nightmare for short, or else we'll be here all nightmare long. And by the way, whatever you do, don't fall asleep during this video. It would not be a good thing for you, trust me. Okay, try your best not to fall asleep. Okay, so my favorite Nightmare movie is Nightmare 3. Dream Warriors, that came out in 1987. Okay. Yeah, definitely my favorite all-time Freddy movie, and maybe one of my favorite horror movies ever. Yeah, I remember this was probably the first Freddy movie I watched. It's definitely the first I remember watching. And yeah, I was probably too young to be watching it, but it really resonated with me. Had that perfect blend of, being scary for somebody that age, but also having some humor in it. It had that cool factor, and I liked all the characters. You had those teenagers in that mental institution, and they all had their issues, but you really cared about them. They all had like such individual personalities. And then of course when they go into the dream world, they have, their dream powers. So one guy was like a wizard. I think one girl was that punk rock girl with the switchblades. One of them was like an acrobat. So that concept really appealed to me. I loved the Kincaid character, who was like the strong guy in his dreams, and he also used humor. And as a kid, that was a way of me fighting the fear, so to speak, to say like, hey, being sort of a badass and acting like you're not afraid and fighting back kind of thing. That just really appealed to me. So, and then you got the awesome music and everything. You have Nancy from the first one comes back along with her father, John Saxton. I can't remember what the character's name was. And you got that stop motion skeleton animation at the end. Just had so many memorable parts. And the part that big Freddy head kind of snake thingy is like swallowing that girl. Just really good stuff. So definitely my all-time favorite Freddy movie. Wes Craven. And this gets more points because, of course, it's the original. You know, it's original concept, very original movie, very imaginative movie. Yeah, a lot of slashers at the time, and this was something different. The whole concept of somebody, attacking you in your dreams when you're kind of helpless, and if you die in your dream, you're dead for real. So that was such a terrifying and interesting concept because everyone can relate, because everyone has had at least one nightmare. So imagine if those nightmares turned out to be real. That would be terrifying. Really good effects for the time, for the most part. A lot of creepy moments. Remember when that one girl was like in her bed and she started like levitating and like twisting all around in the air, and she's getting like sliced up, and her boyfriend has to watch her die, and he's like freaking out. And then the part where Johnny Depp gets pulled into the bed, and then you have like a big Niagara Falls level of blood coming out of the bed. Again, a lot of memorable moments, and nobody had ever seen anything like Freddy Krueger in a movie up to that point, in my opinion. Maybe someone can find some example, but definitely sent shockwaves through the horror world. And of course, Robert Englund's absolutely the best choice to play Freddy. Okay, third up is now this one might be a little bit controversial, but Nightmare 2. Freddy's Revenge. 1985. I say controversial because a lot of people don't seem to like this one, and I at first, for many years, I didn't like it either, because I think the first one I saw was part 3, and then I got part 2 for my birthday, and I was expecting it to be more like part 3, and of course it's completely different. I think another problem I had was the VHS version I had, for some reason, was very, very dark. You could barely see. But then years later, when I saw it on DVD, I guess they fixed that, and you could actually see, like, it's still appropriately dark, but you could actually see, like, and maybe they made it dark for, like, censorship purposes, like, the part where he's like, you got the body, I got the brain, and he rips his head open. You could barely see that on on the VHS version. On the DVD, you can see that clearly, so maybe that was a way for them to obscure some of the more extreme violent parts. But anyway, I honestly find this one to be the scariest of all of them. It just has the creepiest vibe of them all. And Freddy looks grotesque in this movie. He looks the scariest. He looks like a real living thing, as opposed to somebody just with a bunch of makeup on their face. So I think by far they nailed Freddy's makeup in this. There's one shot where they're having the pool party, and then Freddy comes into the real world and he starts like killing people, and then there's one part where there's like flames in the background or in the foreground, I don't know, and he looks at the camera and he's got those big bug eyes, and it just, man, that sends chills up my spine. So yeah, there's some kind of weird parts, but still, I think definitely this is up there. Yeah, it deserves to be in top 3, in my opinion. And it's definitely the scariest. If I was ranking them in terms of scariness and this would be on the top for me, or creepiness, or whatever. Just has some kind of creepy vibe to it. Hard to put into words sometimes. Okay, now we're going to number 4. And okay, Nightmare. It just happens to be the 4th one in this slot. And this one, what's it called? Wait, the Dream. characters has their own dream power. And then one of the main character, somehow she gets the ability to absorb her friends' dream powers when they die. So it builds up to like this epic fight between her and Freddy, and she's doing like all these kung fu moves and stuff like that against Freddy at the end, which is pretty cool. I remember it had cool music. I remember, what I always remember is the girl who was lifting weights in the gym. She's kind of like obsessed with, working out. And then all of a sudden, like she starts, I guess, turning into a cockroach, and like the weights, push her arms down, and then like her elbows snap open, and it's just pretty grotesque. And then she falls into like the, those glue traps for bugs and mice and stuff. Her face falls in there, and then as she gets up, like the glue pulls her face off. Anyways, that was a very well done scene. Pretty good, not as good as the third one, obviously, but similar in a lot of ways. Yeah, and I remember anticipating this so much because this was the first one that came out. Like, I became a fan after the third one came out, and then I was like, oh, they're making a fourth one. And I remember like waiting at the video store for it to come out, and man, it was an event to see these new Freddy movies come out for me and my brother. So yeah, that's number 4. Okay, number 5 is, I wasn't sure if I should put this on the list at all because it's not a true nightmare movie, but I decided to do that and put it here. Freddy versus Jason. Freddy versus Jason, which came out in 2003. So yeah, it doesn't really fit in the Nightmare series, but whatever, I'll put it there. And technically, yeah, I like it better maybe than Nightmare 4, but again, it's not a true Nightmare movie, so maybe that's an appropriate spot for it. I wasn't expecting good things when this came out, but I do like it. I was kind of surprised. It's not amazing, but it's fun. It's a very fun movie, we'll put it that way. Tons of gore, over-the-top gore. I'm sure a lot of it was CG, but I think there's a lot of practical gore too, from what I remember. So I was really impressed with that, and yeah, good, very enjoyable, fun, popcorn type movie. I don't like the way Freddy looked, and I don't even like the way Jason looked in these movies. That's one of the things that kind of bothers me about it, like the Freddy with the pointy teeth and I don't know, something just looked off about him that didn't look like classic Freddy, but close enough. So okay, and then number 6 is Freddy's Dead. The Final Nightmare. It's not a subtitle. Oops, I don't know why I capitalized that. Final Night. The Final Nightmare for now. And that came out in 1991. I kind of butchered that, but anyways, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare was the 6th one, and it just happens to be the 6th on my list, but anyway, it was a weird one for sure. They really amped up the comedy, they amped up Freddy's wise cracks and jokes and stuff like that, and I remember being very disappointed when this came out. I was anticipating it a lot. I just didn't find it scary at all, and I thought the humor was just way too much. I just thought it was ridiculous. I didn't really like most of the characters. And yeah, and that 3D gimmick at the end, or the last like 15 or 20 minutes was in 3D, which I didn't experience because, I didn't see it in the theater, but that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I think over time it's grown on me a little bit, and at least it's very memorable. I will give it that. And I haven't watched it in a while, but last time I watched it, I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? There's some merit to this movie. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's memorable. And I do like the way they depicted Springwood, where they go back Freddy thing. It's kind of interesting how they did that, but anyways, it's grown on me a little bit, and I have a little bit more respect for it nowadays. But at the time, it was a big disappointment. Okay, 7 is Wes. Whoops, I spelled his name wrong. Craven's New Nightmare. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which came out in... Wait, that also came out in... Oh no, that was 94. 1994. I did watch this like once or twice a long time ago. I don't have too much to say about it because honestly I don't remember that much about it, but I just remember not liking it at all. It was a creative or interesting idea, I guess, where it's like it takes place in the real world and Wes Craven's in it and he plays himself, and the girl who plays Nancy is in it, she plays herself, and they're making a Freddy movie in the movie. But then somehow they figure out that like Nancy starts having nightmares or something like that, and somehow that's bringing Freddy into the real world. Interesting concept. It didn't really connect with me though, and Freddy looked weird in the real world and stuff like that. So again, I don't have too much to say about it. I remember it didn't connect with me at all. When I saw it, maybe I should try watching it again. I might change my mind. And finally, rock bottom would be Nightmare 5. The Dream Child. And that came out in 1989. Once again, I don't even have that much to say about this because I barely remember it because I didn't really want to watch it more than once or twice. I remember being extremely disappointed with this one because I remember every time a Nightmare movie came out, it was an event for me, and this one just felt like so weak, like low effort, low budget. The effects on Freddy's, his makeup effects looked terrible, like absolutely, like they weren't even trying. So very disappointing for me. Other than that, I can't really say much more about it because I don't remember that much about it. But all I remember is that I did not like it at all. Anyway, that's my list. Those are my rankings. Let me know if you agree or disagree. But the last thing I have to say is, whatever you do, don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Just come for you. 3, 4 with tingles galore. 5, 6, lots of whispers and clicks. 7, 8 in your relaxed state. 9, 10 he makes you sleep again.